In the frigid depths of night, a breathless hush descended upon Ravenswood. The full moon, a pale disk of bone white, presided over our village like a spectral judge. It bathed the landscape in a cold, ghostly radiance, painting the trees with twisted, elongated shadows that writhed like serpents on the forest floor. As I stood sentinel at the village's perimeter, my senses were keenly attuned to the world around me. The air was still, save for the occasional rustle of leaves disturbed by some unseen presence. My fellow hunters, their faces etched with a blend of dread and determination, shared my vigilance. "They're near," Eric whispered, his voice a mere murmur carried away on the night breeze. "Can you feel it, Matthias?" I nodded, the sensation of being watched prickling along my spine. "Aye, Eric. They're out there, lurking in the shadows, testing our resolve." The village lay shrouded in an eerie calm, the inhabitants huddled in their homes, their lanterns casting feeble glimmers through the windows. The memory of our previous encounters with the werewolves still clung to the air, a potent mixture of terror and defiance. In the distance, I heard the faintest rustle of leaves, like the whispers of malevolent spirits. The moonlight unveiled a fleeting glimpse of movement, a shadow shifting through the trees, its form barely discernible. "They're circling," I murmured, my breath forming frosty tendrils in the cold night air, testing our defenses, probing for weaknesses. Hans, a seasoned hunter with a hawk's eyes, spoke next, his tone etched with the weariness of one who had danced with death before. "Stay vigilant, lads. Don't let your guard waver for a heartbeat." Minutes slid into hours as we remained locked in a tense standoff with the lurking werewolves. They moved with a predatory grace, their forms melding seamlessly with the night. Their eyes, fiery orbs of malevolence, glinted with an unsettling intelligence as they watched us. The tension was palpable, a suffocating weight pressing down on us. The werewolves were masters of patience, their unwavering vigilance a testament to their relentless determination. The moon's silvery glow bathed them in an ethereal light, transforming them into phantoms that haunted the edges of our consciousness. Hushed voices exchanged brief words of encouragement among the hunters, the weight of our shared resolve binding us together. In this unspoken moment, we understood that we were the guardians of our village, the last line of defense against the encroaching darkness. Then, as the moon reached its zenith, a low growl, deep and menacing, resonated through the air. The werewolves were testing our mettle, their sinister intent clear. "They're coming," I whispered to Eric, my voice a mere breath against the canvas of the night. Eric nodded, his grip on his weapon unwavering. "Then let them come. We're ready." The night would be long, fraught with uncertainty and fear. The moonlight, our constant companion, bore witness to our steadfast determination. The werewolves circled, their crimson eyes locked onto our village, but we were Ravenswood, the guardians of our home. We would stand unwavering against the shadows, prepared to confront the terror that awaited us. The night wore on, a relentless sentinel casting its silvery shroud over Ravenswood. We hunters stood vigilant at the village's perimeter, our eyes fixed on the shadowy woods beyond. The moon, a glowing orb of pale radiance, bathed the landscape in an eerie, otherworldly glow. It was as though nature itself held its breath, waiting for the impending confrontation. Eric, his rugged frame barely visible in the dim moonlight, leaned against a gnarled oak tree. His eyes, sharp as a hawk's, scanned the forest's edge. Every rustle of leaves or hushed whisper of the wind drew his unwavering attention. He was our stalwart sentinel, a guardian of the night. Beside him, Anna, the youngest of our group, clutched her bow with trembling hands. Her fear was noticeable, but her determination burned bright. Her youthful courage was a beacon in the encroaching darkness. A faint rustling emanated from the forest, the sound barely louder than a mouse's breath. We tensed, arrows nocked and blades at the ready. Our senses were heightened, attuned to the slightest disturbance. Then, emerging from the woods, came the werewolves. Their forms were hulking, their fur matted and dark as the void. Moonlight gleamed off their gleaming fangs, and their crimson eyes burned with a malevolence that sent shivers down our spines. They moved with a predatory grace, their movements fluid as they circled us. They were cunning, these creatures of the night, and they sought to gauge our resolve. The Alpha, a massive beast with scars that spoke of countless battles, led the pack. His eyes bore into ours, a silent challenge. But we, the hunters of Ravenswood, were not to be cowed. We stood as one, our hearts pounding in our chests, our breaths visible in the chill night air. There was no fear in our eyes, only a fierce determination to protect our village. In the midst of this tense standoff, a voice broke the silence. It was Elara, the villager who had survived the werewolf attack. Her voice, trembling but resolute, carried through the night. "I know you can hear me, beasts. I carry your curse, but I will not be your pawn." The alpha werewolf's eyes narrowed, a flicker of recognition crossing his bestial visage. Elara raised her sleeve, revealing the telltale bite mark, now infected with the curse. "This curse is my burden, but I will use it to protect my village." The other villagers, peering from behind the safety of their homes, watched in stunned silence. Elara had chosen to confront her affliction head-on, to forge her own destiny. Her bravery was a beacon of hope in our darkest hour. The alpha werewolf, sensing Elara's defiance, let out a haunting howl that pierced the night. It was a call to his pack, a signal of their retreat. With a final, lingering glance, they melted into the forest's depths, disappearing like wraiths into the night. As the tension ebbed, we hunters lowered our weapons, a collective sigh of relief escaping our lips. Elara's bravery had averted a bloodbath, at least for this night. The moon hung overhead, a silent witness to our pact with the cursed. We turned to Elara, her face pale but resolute. She had earned our respect, our trust, and a place among our ranks. In the moon's silvery light, we knew that our battle against the werewolves was far from over. But together, we were prepared to face the darkness that awaited us, under the watchful eye of the ever-present moon. The night was heavy with tension, a tapestry of moonlight and shadow that stretched over Ravenswood. We hunters, weary but resolute, maintained our watchful vigilance at the village's edge. The moon, a silent sentinel, bathed the world in its spectral glow. Yet, as we focused on the distant woods, we were unaware of the malevolent presence that had slipped through our defenses. The werewolves' diversionary ploy. They had sacrificed a few to lure us away, while the true threat encroached on our sanctuary. Inside the castle, the heart of our village, chaos reigned. The werewolves, stealthy as shadows, prowled the stone corridors. Their claws clicked softly against the cold floors, their lupine eyes glinting with cruel intent. The tapestries that once adorned the walls now lay in tatters, their vibrant colors marred by the savagery of these invaders. King Frederick, alerted to the breach, had rallied his guards in a desperate bid to protect our kingdom's seat of power. Swords clashed with fangs, the castle's once hallowed halls, now the battleground of a primal struggle. In the midst of this turmoil, Elara stood alone in the castle's grand foyer, her transformation into a werewolf complete. Her eyes, once filled with determination, had become pools of feral hunger. She was torn between the human spirit that yearned to protect her village and the insatiable beast that sought to satiate its monstrous appetites. With a guttural snarl, Elara lunged at the guards who dared to stand against her. Her speed was inhuman, a blur of fur and fury as she tore through their defenses. Panic and fear took hold as the guards fell before her onslaught, their screams echoing through the castle's stone corridors. I, along with my fellow hunters, burst into the castle, our hearts heavy with dread. The sight that met us was one of horror and despair. Elara, our brave comrade, had been overtaken by the curse, and now she was a force of unrelenting destruction. "Elara!" I called out, my voice a desperate plea. But my words were lost in the chaos that had enveloped the castle. With a swift and brutal strike, Elara claimed another guard, his lifeblood staining the castle's opulent carpets. Her crimson eyes, once so full of defiance, bore into mine with a mix of sorrow and hunger. It was then that the realization struck me. The diversion, the attack on the castle, it had all been a meticulously crafted plan by the cunning alpha werewolf. Our village was under siege, both from within and without. As Elara's transformation raged on, she leaped towards us, her jaws snapping shut inches from my throat. We hunters fought back, our hearts heavy with the knowledge that the woman we had once known was now lost to the curse. The battle raged on, the clash of steel against fur and fang echoing through the castle's halls. Lives hung in the balance, our village's future teetering on the edge of a precipice. In the midst of the carnage, a deafening howl pierced the night. It was the alpha werewolf, a sinister symphony that rallied his pack to his side. With Elara as their weapon, they sought to claim our kingdom, and the castle itself as their own. As the pack closed in, their eyes aflame with an unholy hunger, I could only watch in despair. Elara's transformation into a monster was complete, and the future of Ravenswood hung in the balance.